Assalamu alaikum. Hello, my dear guys. Hello, grade 4A, 4B, and 4C. First of all, I would like to thank you again and again and again. I would like to thank you much more, a lot, because you have done a lot of homework. I think you have spent a lot of time in front of your practice books. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for your parents who support you. Today's lesson is a grammar one. It's time order words. Would you please open your practice books, page 352? Yes. Now, I'm going to read some sentences and then follow me. Time order words. Time order words and phrases. Phrase means more than one word, not one word. Word, we know all words, but phrases means more than one word. Link related events and ideas together. If I want to link two things or three things or four things together, I use time order words or phrases. Time order words or phrases indicate planning and organization. These time order words and phrases indicate planning and organization. We have here a lot of time order words and phrases here. They include words such as first, then, next, after that, later on, soon, before, earlier, suddenly, as soon as. As soon as, this is a phrase, not a word. Also, I have here after that. It's a phrase because there are two words now, and later on it's another phrase. Yes, before long, meanwhile, meanwhile at the same time, when, while, once, instantly, suddenly, or quickly, eventually. Eventually means very good. Eventually means at the end, finally. It is the same as finally and lastly. Lastly, finally. These are time order words, examples of time order words and phrases. Now, you know all of them. I think you know all of them, the meaning of all of them. The new word I mean, instantly, is a new word for you, and eventually, and I told you eventually means at the same time, as eventually at the end, at the end. It is the same meaning as lastly and finally. Meanwhile, it means at the same time. Yes. Now, I would like you to listen and watch this video and then enjoy your time. Hello.
Time order words. Using time order words in process paragraphs. Time order words tell the order of steps in a process. You can use first and second to indicate the first two steps in a process. Use next, then, later, or after that to add more steps. Finally marks the last step in the process. First, make a list. Second, select your clothes. Next, place your shoes in the corners. Then, arrange your clothes in neat layers. Later, add last-minute items such as medications. After that, roll the clothes to avoid wrinkles. Finally, check your list for any forgotten items. Then is not followed by a comma. Connectors link two clauses together. Connectors like before and after can also function as time order words when they link two steps in a process. For example, before you close your suitcase, check your list. Begin packing after you have eliminated all unnecessary items.
As you have listened and watched it now, my dear boys, these are some examples of time order words. I would like you to listen and watch the other video for more fun and more understanding. Hello, come on.
Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about in your rough draft, as far as revisions go, is transition words and phrases. So First of all, what are transition words and phrases? You should have picked up the sheet that looks like this. This is a list of a bunch of different transition words. And this time we're going to specifically look at transition words that have to do with time order. So these are words that show when things are happening in your story. So you'll notice that there are words that show that things are happening before, first, next, last, things that happen always or never or now, or things that happen suddenly. So this is a lot of words that are considered transitions, but this is not all transition words. There are so many more. And you may notice that some of these are just single words and some of these are phrases also. So transitions show when things are happening in your story, and they can be single words or they can be phrases that you are using. So we're going to look at an example. So what do you notice about this paragraph? It says, the boy and the girl decided to go to the park. It was raining. They decided to come back home. They made cookies and waited for the rain to stop. Okay, so if you noticed, the first two sentences are a little bit confusing. It says the boy and girl decided to go to the park. It was raining. So this sentence doesn't really show when it was raining, because if it was raining, why would the boy and the girl decide to go to the park, right? This is why transitions are important, because they make your story clear to the person who's reading it. They show that person when certain things happened in the story, so they're not confused about when things are happening. So let's look at this same paragraph, but with some transitions in it. So this is what happens when we add transitions. I'm going to read the new paragraph. First, the boy and the girl decided to go to the park. Then it was raining, so they decided to come back home. Then they made cookies and waited for the rain to stop. So these are very simple transitions, but we're using the word first as a transition and then the word then several times to show that first they decided to go to the park, then it was raining, so they decided to come back home. And then the last thing they did was make cookies and wait for the rain to stop. So if I wanted to make this paragraph even more specific and, in my opinion, better, I would need to use some phrases to show when things are happening. So let's look at the last example, and you'll notice that it's a lot clearer than the first example and even this one. So here's what happens when we make the transitions even more specific. One day, the boy and the girl decided to go to the park. When they got there, it was raining. They decided to come back home. Back at home, they made cookies and waited for the rain to stop. So notice how specific these transitions that I used are. The first one that I used was one day. So this is showing that this is just one day in the past. The boy and the girl decided to go to the park. The next transition that I used was when they got there, it was raining. So the phrase when they got there shows that the boy and the girl got all the way to the park, and when they got there, it was raining. The next transition that I used was back at home. This tells the reader that the boy and the girl made it all the way back home, and that was where they made the cookies and waited for the rain to stop. So see how using transitions that are very specific and tell when things are happening in your story are going to make it more interesting and less confusing for your reader. That's why we use them.
Yes, now after you have watched and seen these two videos, I think you understand now better what are time order words, and then I want you now to follow me in your practice box page 352. Yes, you have two exercises as you can see now. The directions now. Number one, after we received my clothing, we boarded our ship. Where is the time order word here in the sentence? Yes, very good. After. Thank you. Number one is after. Yes. Number two. First, I explored my tiny cabin. Later, I explored the ship's deck. Very good. We have here the number two. First and also later. Yes. Now, number three. The whales have to pass before we turn the engines on again. Yes, number 3, before is the time order word. Monday afternoon, I watched the penguins. Earlier, the sea was full of whales. Earlier is the time order word. Thank you. Number 5, I listened to the loud cracking sounds, and meanwhile, the sky began to glow. Glow means what? Glow means shine or flash. Yes, this is the time order word. Meanwhile, this is the first exercise. Let's go now to the next exercise, directions. I want you to choose a time order word from the brackets. Number 6, I slept on 2 pairs of socks. And we have here next and first. Of course, you will choose next. Thank you so much. Now, number 7, when I left, snow was beginning to fall. And we have here later and earlier. It turned into a blizzard. You know a blizzard? I think you know this word. Very good. A severe snowstorm. Bad, strong snowstorm. Yes, later. And number 8, I knew that, and dash here, before long, as soon as someone would come looking for me. Yes, very good, before long. This is the answer to exercises on page 352. Now, I wish you all the best in your studying, and spend a lot of time, yes, at home. Stay home, protect yourselves and your family members. I want you now to do page 378 in your practice books as homework. See you. Have a nice time. Till we meet again. Bye-bye.